and welcome back to another Storytime video. And today I am going to talk about moving out of my parents' house. Now, this is certainly something that I was nervous about. I just wanted to first start out by saying that I was very nervous to do this. And I also want to say that I was not kicked out at all. It was just like, hey, well, after getting my first career or getting my first job with my career, after graduating college, I kind of needed something a lot closer to where that job was. Because, as you guys know, or might know, when you graduate from college and you start a new career or you get a career for the first time, it is difficult to get that first job because you don't have any experience and really get your foot in the door. And for me, that first career job was an hour and 40 minutes away from my parents' house. And it's like, okay, well, now that I have this job, let me work this job for a little bit, kind of make the drive the hour and 40 minutes, which I did that for like 6 weeks. And then I was able to move an hour away from my parents and 45 minutes from this job that I had. And so, but I will say that it is very awesome to live. Well, I don't live on my own. I rent and have roommates and all that, but it's nice to, like, it's a good feeling of being independent, but in my eyes, if you want to make the jump, then especially with the way that the housing market is, then renting is not a bad idea at all, and renting would probably be your best bet. Well, first you gotta have good credit in order to be able to rent. And if you choose not to rent for whatever reason, maybe you have spent a lot of time at your parents' house and you have a whole bunch of money saved up, which, I'm not judging anybody. This is just my experience and a little bit of my advice. I mean, I'm free to give my advice as I'm as free to give my advice as you are to ignore it or not follow it or do whatever you wish with the information. But I think that renting is not a bad idea at all. Just the most important part is having some money saved up. I mean, like I said, I was working at this job for 6 weeks before I moved, and so I knew that I kind of had some job security at this job, and that I knew that I could do it and excel at it. And so, thankfully, of course, as you can imagine, I'm able to save some money with renting to where eventually I can buy a house if I need to. Well, whenever it comes time. But yeah, I still rely on my parents for advice, and talk to him frequently and all that other stuff. And so, just because I had moved away and that I don't live with my parents anymore does not mean that I don't communicate with them or that I'm not appreciative of the stuff that they've done for me in the past or the stuff that they will do in the future for me. I definitely really appreciate that. But, I just, as much as I would have loved to have continued to save money by living at my parents' house, I did ultimately what was best for me. And what was best for me was to move a lot closer to that job that I had, because driving an hour and 40 minutes each way, that's like, and that's without traffic. So if you account for traffic in there, then you're talking about closer to 3.5 hours of driving a day. So you think about it and you go, okay, well, based on your commute to that job that you had, there's 3.5 hours that is gone out of your day by the time you can even blink. I mean, I don't mind driving. I like driving, but whenever you tell me to work an 8 to 12 hour shift, and then you tell me, hey, out of those remaining 12 to 16 hours, you're just not going to have 3 to 3.5 hours of that. I mean, it's great if you don't really need to sleep, but I need to sleep. And, when you consider, 6 to 8 hours for me to sleep, which I need 6 hours to function as a human being the next day and function at a pretty decent rate, 8 hours preferred anyway. So when you're talking about potentially 12 hours, and then you sleep like 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, there's like 2 hours there. If you're talking about sleeping for 6 hours. So on paper, when you're talking about driving for 3 hours a day, it's not necessarily the worst thing. But when you add up all, all these other factors, like the work hours, needing to sleep, all this other stuff, and then eating too. I mean, it's not like I can necessarily eat in the car. And then if you want to get something on the way, okay, well, then there's a stop for you, and then there's more time that you're spending driving. So, it was particularly tough those first 6 weeks. But then when I moved to be a lot closer, so that I was only like 40 minutes away, you go, okay, well, there's an hour and a half. I'm accounting for 10 minutes of traffic, by the way, in that, even though I know 40 minutes both ways would be an hour and 20 minutes. I get that. Plus, there's getting to a job early. I mean, I don't want to leave so that I make it exactly on time. I'll get really anxious because it's like, what if I lose a couple minutes? Oh, crap, now I'm late. Or now I'm running late because I decided to leave right on time, right when I needed to, and it just created a whole mess of trouble for me. But yeah, So, I mean, I'm willing to drive like an hour away for a job. I think I might have said that earlier. I don't remember. I think I was about to, but I might have gotten sidetracked. I call those squirrel moments where you're talking about something and you're like, squirrel! Like a squirrel does. But yeah, so I'm willing to drive like up to an hour for a job. Because, I mean, if you work an 8-hour shift and then you take 2 hours to, driving, then that's 10 hours, and then you sleep for 8, and it's like, okay, well, then you still got 6 hours of your day where you can enjoy yourself or do whatever you need to do, like laundry or go to the bank, run some errands, do whatever. See, that was another thing with living an hour and 45 minutes away from where I worked. It was just that, or an hour and 40. It was a sense of, not being able to really do anything when you got off of work. And then when you were working sometimes 6 days a week, well, those only really started after I moved. Not for that reason. Well, not because of that, but, it just made it tough to go to the bank or do errands, like get groceries or whatever else that you needed to do throughout your day. And then, gas prices weren't as high back then as they are now, thankfully. I'm saying thankfully for past me, because with driving an hour and 40 minutes one way, then, half my paycheck probably would have gone to gas. And it kind of did for those 6 weeks. But yeah, that's my experience in moving out. I've been away from my parents' house for a while, and sometimes I do go back to where I grew up and hang out with my family and stuff. Of course, I mean, I haven't totally forgotten about them, even though I live an hour away from them. But yeah, good luck to everybody that might move out of their parents' house soon. But yeah, I just hope that you have some money saved aside just in case something happens, to where, you have some extra money in case something does happen. I can't cite any particular examples. Well, maybe a car breaks down or whatever, but, just having that so that you can still pay your rent or pay your mortgage if you choose that. I think that's important, because you don't want to get kicked out and you don't want your house taken away from you by the bank. But yes, guys, I do believe that will do it for this storytime video and Select Storytime video. I will see you all later. Goodbye, guys! Thank you all for watching, and